Что-то грустно нам взять гитару.
So we're going to wish everyone, first of all, a huge happy season's greetings from all of us here, and thanks to John again. And what we're going to do now is go around, and we have some very, very talented people amongst us, and we're going to have a little Christmas soiree, and we will also be saying a little bit about what's coming up in 2019, which there will be more in the terms of social inclusive music theatre, particularly with a focus on women and pioneering women. Truganini, in particular, an Aboriginal Tasmanian woman, Millicent Fawcett, about whom some of you might know. It's the 100th anniversary here in Britain of the women's right to vote this year. And finally, after 100 years, a bronze was put in Parliament Square in Westminster. The first woman ever to have a bronze was Millicent Fawcett, which was released early this year. And there'll be 2 other women involved. Well, one of them will be Mary McKillop as well. So I think we're the first people that we're going to introduce. We have a Japanese pianist over here. And she's not going to make any excuses about a bad back. So let's get Ryoko up. And Ryoko's going to play. What are you going to play for us, Ryoko?
I want to play one of the movement from Schubert Piano Sonata.
Juan Garcia is the main character. He's a Chilean philosopher who received electric shocks from Pinochet's people. And after 2 years in prison, he was granted asylum in Britain. So he worked here as a philosopher. He lectured in some universities, but he found himself on the streets very quickly. And he lived in the streets. When my film starts, it starts when present day Juan Garcia lives on the streets. And he created a philosophy of the more or less philosophy, de la filosofía de más o menos, and with and without philosophy.
Okay.
So I'll just give you a little brief. In the philosophy of more or less, you can gain more in less time and use less energy in more time. So if you look at more or less from the point of view of more, you see less. And if you look at it from the point of view of less, obviously, you're going to see less and less and less and less. So in times of recession, you can get away with problems by selling more and buying less. This way you have more space and less rubbish at home. So the more or less is more or less more economic.
When I arrive in paradise, I'll sing the old songs for a price to those fine ladies every Sunday. Then I'll sing long and I'll sing low, and they'll remember how below that I made every day a fun day. Then I'll be the god of ages, him you find in yellow pages between credulous and sages listed under consultation. And if I let my beard grow and I let everybody know, that I would break my heart to show exactly how far I would go. And they would sing it every night, the angel saints and Lucifer would sing it for me then and there, the song of when my name was Jackie. Oh, to be for an hour, just an hour, to be cool and handsome and bad, to be just once for an hour, gorgeous George and Jackie the lad.
John Farndon, and John and I, I'm very thrilled to say, are involved in a little something about taking Eastern Europe out of the Dark Ages, out of the closet of John le Carré spy stories and Novichok, and trying to actually find out some cultural goodies and bountiful stuff. Tell us a little bit about Winds of Age.
Well, of course,
what's happening, John?
they don't need to be taken out of the Dark Ages. It's only us that need to be taken out of the Dark Ages.
Well said.
And we're talking about Central Asia rather than Eastern Europe. What we've got is we've got a project that we would like to do that spans the whole of Central Asia and some of the Russian diaspora as well. And basically, I got involved in this project because I've been collaborating with a lot of Central Asian writers to translate material, including a book called The Dead Wonder in the Desert by Ronson Sapayev and various other incredibly talented Central Asian writers, and in the process of that discovered there's so much rich culture that needs to come out of there, and so I was talking to Warren about it. We conceived this idea of creating a festival. Is Kazakhstan's Shakespeare, if you like. He was a writer, a poet in the 19th century, and one of the great Kazakh operas of the 20th century is an opera called Abai. It is written by the leading classical composer and the leading playwright, and it's an astonishing opera that mixes Central Asian culture and classical music to create a very, very powerful, and yet it's unknown outside Kazakh, pretty much unknown outside Kazakh. It's 10-minute excerpts have been played in Paris and New York a couple of years ago, and that's all, and yet it is extraordinarily beautiful and powerful work. And so one of the purposes of creating this festival is to bring an opera like that here, so that we begin to understand what this music that comes out of a very ancient culture, because Kazakh culture, it's the poetry of the steppe. It has bardic music. It has incredibly elaborate, beautiful oral poetry that has actually influenced our culture a long time ago. We're just unaware of the connections, basically, because they've been lost in time. But that's what we hope to protect, and by creating that, we can do a lot more. We can bridge gaps by saying, actually, we have a great deal more in common with this.
C'est une chanson qui nous ressemble, toi qui m'aimais. je t'aimais. Nous vivions tous les deux ensemble. Toi qui m'aimais et je t'aimais. Mais la vie sépare ceux qui s'aiment tout doucement, sans faire de bruit. La mer efface sur le sable les pas des amants désunis. Mais la vie sépare ceux qui s'aiment tout doucement, sans faire de bruit. La mer efface sur le sable et pas des amants désunis. Темной ночью, снежной вьюгой, белой пылью занесет. В сани сяду я с подругой, ямщик песню запоет. Когда приедет я, разогреются друзья, и под звонкую гитару будем петь мы до утра. Эй, ямщик, гони, азы на дорогу, ей братья пары, сырой купи, шагрях гитару, там гони, братья пары. Напряг не пару, там гони, брат, веселей.
Bravo! Igor and Sarah!
Thank you very much.